So the best compliment I ever heard was that he's not the brightest candle, which I'm not, but the light will burn for really long. And that's what entrepreneurship is to a large extent. You don't have to be the brightest candle in the room. And my family members, most of them, will be a good example of that because they've been my inspiration, that you just don't give up. No matter what people say, no matter what people do, just push through. And that's what this talk is going to be about. I'm not going to rattle on how you should take risks like me because I'm a high risk taking individual. No. A person in my life brought it to my attention that I'm incredibly privileged to actually want to be an entrepreneur. So I'm going to acknowledge that privilege in the beginning, that I am very lucky to be able to do what I want to do. I am very lucky to be able to raise money that I want to raise from angels or whatever. I have to acknowledge that I'm really lucky that I'm getting to do what I actually want, right? But that shouldn't stop anybody from dreaming at our uni, right? How do we build that culture for how you can dream, even in the smallest way, germinate that seed to make it the next big thing? So being an entrepreneur, I've realized, is all about taking those important small steps to becoming that, to take that large leap. I just saw someone enter the room, and I know who he is, Daniel, a great entrepreneur from our uni itself. And I remember when he took his first small step. But that will lead to that giant leap later. So we're also going to cover how you can take those small steps to get that giant leap. I'm going to show you two pictures, okay, from graduation. A lot of people can't see it, but it was a very important day of my life because it determined my trajectory. So these are my grandfathers. Here on the right, Nanu, Dadu, and this is a picture of my entire family, okay. Most of you all can't see it, but most of them in both the pictures are entrepreneurs. And I would like to cover that my grandfathers didn't become entrepreneurs because they wanted to. They had to. For monetary reasons, because it was post-partition, because they weren't the most educated and it was the only option left. And my God, did they take it with all that they've gotten. So when I saw this happen, I was like, it's not a nurture versus nature thing. I was not born to be a risk-taking guy, no. I was born into this family where I saw a lot of risk-taking people, so that made me kind of risk-taking. So I realized that culture, maybe not created in your house, but I want to try and create that for us at St. Andrews. Why can't we dream like those Stanford kids? Why can't we build the institutions that they built? Why can't we build the next big apple from here? Yes, from the capital end, that's something we can't control. But what we can control is building that culture. Once we build all of this basic front-end development, like we like to call it in product build, once we create all of that, the back end will come on its own. Once you have good founders, the capital will find itself. So let's work towards doing that. Let's begin with something very, very basic and straightforward. I already asked this, but I know that half of the room is somewhat interested in entrepreneurship. Let me give you a perfect example, okay? In St. Andrews, to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to start a business. I understand many of you are on tier 4 visas. How do you then do something entrepreneurial? That's when the 1 million fashion shows that we've got. So if you're heading any one of them, that's where you can be entrepreneurial. You're heading a society, that's where you can be entrepreneurial. You decide to write a blog, that's where you can be entrepreneurial. Let me take you back to September 2022, okay? I came to this university after my third year summer placement at a financial services firm. And I was a finance bro. I was horrible at what I did. But I realized that entrepreneurship was my calling. And I started something called the Alternative Investment Society, a part of the InvestSoc. I remember our first talk. I'm ready. People are going to turn up. It's I don't know who just talked, Oliver Grimes. We're going to have a great talk. 8 people, okay? 5 of them were from the society. 3 were my friends, okay? It was horrible. And I was like, it's going to be incredible. Standing ovation. We're going to change it. We didn't change it. Sorry for the bad word, TEDx. But it was absolutely the greatest learning experience because we went from 8 people at that talk to 100 to filling out the entire lecture room at my last talk when we came for UNECTO. And that didn't happen easily, okay? I have given out pamphlets on the street. Stop people. I'm sure I've stopped one of you saying, please, just 2 minutes of your time. Can you listen to me? Most people will be like, oh no, I have to be somewhere. And they do have to be somewhere. I'm a random guy stopping to talk to you. Why would you listen to me? So it was quite the crazy journey to increase the number of people who attended these talks. But every one person who came for my talk, it felt like a win. You know, I still remember, I think in May of this year, we had Target Global, a very large VC fund, come to St. Andrews. Okay, they managed like $5-6 billion. One of the first large VC funds to ever come to St. Andrews. And we had like a pitch day event in May, and it was an absolutely incredible experience. Because I remember when I last used to speak about entrepreneurship in St. Andrews, people used to give me that criminal, offensive, bombastic side eye, you know, like what is this guy talking about? You know, I have to give that TikTok reference. TikTok if you're looking. But the entire point was that I went from being made fun of about my idea to being made fun of for who I am, which understandably. But finally we got the recognition we deserved, not from our uni, but from outside people, from alumni who wanted to finally visit us, see what's happening. I still remember waking up in the morning, there's someone in the crowd, I spoke to Freya and I said, my God, all of those hours of work were not in vain. Most of it was in vain because people thought I was whack or whatever. But Target Global decided to come to St. Andrews. We must have done something right. And that's what I'm trying to say, that even if the students don't give you the validation, give yourself that validation that your work was worth it because you did it for yourself. It's a very selfish, narcissistic thing to be a founder. You're trying to help others, which you will if your product does well, but most of the times you're doing it for yourself. So it's okay to accept that you're that kind of a person is one important thing that I would like to cover. Mark Cuban, I mean, all of you all know him as Mr. Shark Tank. I know him as the guy who started Broadcast.com and the guy who owns Dallas Mavericks. He said a really incredible thing that entrepreneurs and founders who are in the capitalistic space are the most competitive people you'll meet in the world. And he owns a basketball team, which is the most competitive people in the world at the same time, on that field. Entrepreneurs think of beating you and their competitors every single minute, every single second of when they're running their company. I cannot say names, but the number of people that have tried to come, jeopardize things, who are after you, they're competitors, they'll find ways to just pinch you a little so that hopefully that you pinch, you'll bleed a bit and hopefully that blood will just drain out your ambition. But you should not let that happen. I'll give you a personal anecdote. 4 weeks ago, I broke this finger. I won't show which one because it's the middle finger. It'll look like as if I'm flipping it off, which I'm not. So I was at the gym, I broke it, and I took myself to the A&E, okay? And I remember sitting on the A&E floor because it was a crowded day, thankful for the NHS free service, thank you. But, oh no, sorry. My mother, I am where I am because of her. But anyways, thankful to the NHS, but waited for 3.5 hours till a doc saw me, but I had meetings. So I'm sitting there with a broken dangling finger, sitting on the ground doing meetings with my developer, who's I think here, Devansh. Then we had a meeting for recruitment for hiring in India. We had a fundraising meeting all on the floor. And I still remember this Indian uncle walking by and he said something in Hindi, which I won't say, but beta means son. Son, I know my mother told me to be hardworking, but this is a bit too much. But that's when I realized that it's okay to feel a bit insane. Oh, I feel like I'm a bit crazy about my product. Of course, it's your baby. You're giving birth to something new. You're building something from the ground up. 90% of startup founders fail. Less than 1% take it to a unicorn. In those 89%, you get left with a lot of good mediocre companies. But millions of people lose. But what is important to remember that startups will fail, but founders don't. Founders do not fail. And every single one of you can find that within yourself. You pull it out because the anxiety, the depression, the loneliness comes. It comes with the work. We all have parents who might be entrepreneurs, and you know that they're stressed when they sleep, they're stressed when they wake up. For them to create this family work-life balance is incredibly tough. And sometimes that has bad impacts. But that's how much they care about it because it's their baby. When you give birth to a kid, I'm not saying it's the same process, but you love it, you nurture it. If you're lucky for it to survive, you'll help it thrive. Right? With your company, you nurture it, you love it, lower chances for it to survive than a baby. But if you're lucky enough for it to survive for 2 or 3 years, make it thrive. Take it to that next level. I would like to talk about a personal thing on why I decided to do this talk. I still remember now, November of 2022, I was mentally I was feeling a bit low. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I don't know what to do. We've all been there. I'm just saying it out loud, okay? Many of y'all will. But that's when in December, 2 things happened. The first thing was a personal thing, but the second thing was I realized getting the right people into your life and having the right support will help you make the right decision. And I remember I went to Bangalore with Kevin, if you're watching this. My guy who I did Unif Connect with, which was another platform, he and I went to Bangalore and sat outside VC offices for 5 hours. We wore shirts and pants and formal shoes because we realized in Bangalore, which is like our Palo Alto in India, nobody dresses up formally. So if you look formal, they'll kind of think you're a banker. So we posed ourselves as investment bankers and we just got these meetings with these VCs and all. They threw us out after 15 minutes, which is fine. You know, not fine. If you're looking to raise money, I mean, I'd love it. But in that moment, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to wait outside offices for 5 hours. And I did that for St. Andrews. I sent like 100 mails to the same guy. Finally, Target Global came. It's because, for me, it's a thing bigger than just a way of living. It changed my life. It changed who I am. It changed my family's life. Why wouldn't I want that for others? Why wouldn't I create that culture for others? Dare to dream. People say it, people really don't mean it, but really dare to do it. I still remember when people were saying, what are you trying to build the next Facebook? No, maybe not, maybe I will, who knows? But it's fine to just aim stupidly high. If you don't want to build something stupidly high, it's fine to start that small business because it's okay to be crazy. It's okay to be called crazy. Because that's what it's all about. Because when you prove those people wrong, who gave you the bombastic side eye and that criminal offensive side eye, then you'll be like, you know what, it was worth it. Not only to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself that I could do it. And you can do better and better. And finally, together, maybe we can take the Andrews away and make St. Andrews at the level of Stanford globally with entrepreneurship. Maybe that will benefit us financially, but it'll also benefit the uni. We'll be able to create a new identity. And that's the power that every single one of you have today. When you leave this room today, I don't want any of you to be entrepreneurs. I just want you all to know that next time your friend starts a company, you have a baby shower, celebrate them. Give them a little bottle of wine, take them for dinner, meet them. Celebrate starting something because we don't do that enough. Celebrate the people who dare to dream because they might change your life and not only theirs. So dare to dream, dare to think big because every single one of you has a founder in them, an intrapreneur, an entrepreneur, a lawyer, whatever it may be, an artist, whatever you think. Leave your legacy to whatever it wants to be. But remember, as I said in the beginning, startups, ventures, relationships, they'll all fail. You're not living in a fantasy land because founders don't. Being a founder is not a decision, it's a mentality. So I hope you build that so we can change this entire university and the culture. Thank you so much. That's my talk. We'll do Q&A and stuff like that now. So yeah.